Hey Alex, thanks for that response. Man, you touched on a lot of things, and I'm gonna try to get to that. Um, but I'm really enjoying these conversations, and I've been posting a lot tonight because this is my final 6-week semester, and I'm gonna be graduating soon. Um, so I'm trying to get a lot of videos out now because I think very soon I'm gonna be engaged in coursework and stuff. So, but anyways. I'm actually my background. I'm minoring in cognitive science right now, uh, and so I've taken 7 or 8 courses about it and read a lot of material. And but as far as my relationship with science, I'm not. I consider myself an outsider. My major is psychology, by the way, but um, I'm an outsider to the scientific community because I agree with exactly with what you were saying. There is a mythological element to science. And in a way, science is the new priesthood. It's really uh, science is the new religion, or someone like I'm thinking of like Richard Dawkins. He's an atheist, but his atheism is a religion. It's scientific materialism, um, and mentioned positivism. And I mean, science. If we wanted to make a distinction between, you know, the method of science itself and positivism, materialism, those are philosophies. Those are interpretive, value laden judgments. Science itself is um, cannot assert things. Positivism is asserting that all that exists are or that should exist at least, are rational propositions about an objective world that will line up and mirror one another exactly. That's really, I think, the background of the computationalist metaphor. The idea that the mind is the software running on the brain as hardware. Um, that tends to, I mean, you mentioned Descartes in the beginning, and Descartes is definitely, his argument is, I wouldn't say it's flawed. It definitely led to a massive confusion in the philosophy and science and development of thought that followed him. Um, but I think what Descartes was doing was very important because he was a very religious person, and he was really trying to have it both ways, to have the world, the material world, totally open to scientific investigation, while at the same time protecting this inner experience of um, you know religiosity or existence or consciousness or inwardness of our ability to introspect. He wanted to protect that from science. So yourself. He wanted to give the human being this sense of dignity, that the objectification of the external material world that today has gone so far as to objectify the entire human body, which I'm glad you're familiar with the newer theories of embodiment, that the mind is embodied, and that therefore you can't reduce cognition to a bunch of um, symbols being manipulated by material slab of meat. I mean, Descartes definitely put this dualism into place, but the dualism he put into place is just another expression of the Enlightenment and modernization and the differentiation of all these value spheres. Religion became something you experience subjectively that has you can't really, the self-respecting person wouldn't force their religion on somebody else, but they would still be religious. But it's their subjective thing. And science became the truth. It became what we all have to agree is the objective state of affairs because it's empirically provable. Um, so like art also differentiated itself, and art used to be in the Middle Ages. It's all religious work done and paid for by the church, basically. And, but now, after the modern world developed, art became its own sphere of reality. And in all of this mess, I think the worst victim was ethics and our sense of community, because this fragmentation is really, I mean, this is the root of why people feel so disconnected from each other and from life, and why the state of the media is as it is. So Descartes is important, I think, and I sometimes find myself getting fed up with him too. But he did something important by protecting the mind from science and the investigation of the material world, because that sense of inner experience is really, that's all we have left that isn't a representation. I think that's pure experience that can't be signified in any way, because it's the signifier itself. It's what contains the meaning. So like for the computational school of cognitive science, there's this dualism built into their model, because you have the form or the symbol, the brain structure, and then you have the content of that brain structure or symbol, or in other words, its meaning. So you have the form and the content, or the symbol and the meaning, or the signifier and the signified, or body, mind, matter, mind. So there's a dualism that's just built in there, and the Chinese room argument is a very good example of that. It was John Searle that came up with that argument, and he's a very staunch dualist, and I find when I argue against computationalists, I become a dualist, because they want to say it's all form, and the content is just the mind is just software that in and of itself is meaningless, because it's all based on an experience of a physical objective world. So we just need to study the physical objective world. That's what's really in existence. This higher mind stuff isn't really real. See, that's positivism, reducing the interior experience you have to an exterior objective state of affairs that science can do a study on, a couple of experiments on, publish, and hand to you and say, this is the truth. It doesn't matter what you think, what you feel. This is the answer. And it's all these objectifications, representations of what the truth is. And it's important to remember that our cognition is embodied. And I'm glad that I would definitely agree with you on that. And that's really why I'm interested in cognitive science, because I want to alter the computational paradigm, because it's doing damage to our ability to experience ourselves genuinely, I think. You said at one point that all we experience of reality is a representation, and that you like that idea because you are an artist, a visual artist. And obviously it's important to know how to convey meaning when you were making artwork. But if you, I think of a representation as conveying a specific meaning, and I think of an artistic expression as being the conveyance of an experience. And experience isn't represented; it's just presentation. See what else you got into here. The spectator model being related to this dualism that Descartes in the computational paradigm. Vogue. I think it's the dominant form of consciousness right now, to live within this separation between yourself and life out there that happens. I mean, people are so detached from everything now. The result of this method of experiencing life, of representing life, this mode of discourse and language. And the fact is, we can experience life in other ways. We don't have to run that